Are you looking for a way to make a lot of money without doing a lot of work?
Why, yes, Doug, I am. However, did you know?
But in all seriousness, there is a way to actually be able to do this. And I don't want to come off as too much of an infomercial or as like one of those lame kind of like guru ads that comes up. But honestly, digital products are a way to be able to make a ton of money without a lot of work that goes into it. And in today, I'm going to be talking to you about 12 different ideas of digital products that you can do in order to be able to quit your job or to be able to start at least making some money online. Hey everybody, my name is Doug, and for the last 5 years, my wife and I have been digital entrepreneurs, and we've done everything from selling products on Amazon to being influencers, and now we help people to create online courses and coaching businesses full time. And the purpose of this channel is to help you do just that. It's to help you quit your job, to make money full time online so you can be a digital entrepreneur, so you can travel where you want, make as much money as you want, and really do whatever it is that you want with your life. All right, let's get started with our first idea here, which is coming straight out of the school of basic and old school and kind of obvious as to what everybody does and recommends, but it's still a totally valid idea, which is ebooks. Now I get it. Everybody and their mom are selling ebooks, for different ranges of topics. Ebooks can be things on like how to cook, how to be a parent, how to put together a model kit, how to raise houseplants, how to do this, how to do that. And ebooks are kind of sold everywhere and on everything. And sometimes they're even free, and sometimes they're really expensive or packaged as part of things. But at the end of the day, there's something that's very low overhead to make, something that you can whip together really quickly. It can be basically covered on any type of topic, and you can sell it for an extremely wide range of prices. And a lot of times, when it is a lower ticket price, something that's like 7 to 27 to 47, even like, 47-ish dollars, something that's around there. For a lot of people, surprisingly, that's kind of a no-brainer price to pay for something to get an immediate answer on something that you want to know. And so the only problem here with ebooks is that if you're trying to make a full-time income, ebooks can be kind of difficult to scale, because when you throw together some just basic math that's there, you need either a, very high ticket or high costing product and a little bit of people, or you flop those around and you have a lower ticket product like ebooks, and you need a lot of people, so you need a really large audience. So ebooks are something that are helpful if you have an audience or you have an email list or you have access to a bunch of people to be able to see that product. But if you don't, it can be kind of tough. And so now on the other side of things, like let's say you don't have a lot of people, or you do, either way is cool. It's not completely reliant on audience size. But let's say that you either have an audience or you don't really have an audience. Either way, let's say that you want to do something still that is educational, but something that's more educational than an ebook because you need to up your prices to make more money. Well, something that's great for that are courses, which is the kind of the full-blown digital product, or coaching, which has a digital product aspect to it. And so courses and coaching are things that are awesome because there is actually still a lot of, or I should say there's still just a little overhead when it comes to actually making those. There's no like store that you have to rent or things that you have to do like that. And making the actual videos for the course, you could still just use, a lot of people use their smartphones because their smartphones are something that has high enough resolution to make really good videos. The only thing with courses or coaching is that there's a little bit more time involved, but in trading your time, you can charge more money, and you actually don't need a ton of people. So like, let's say that you need to make $5,000 a month and you sell a course for $1,000, you only need 5 people. But if you sold an ebook for, $1, you would need 5,000 people to buy that ebook. And so that's the difference in the trade-off between courses and coaching and then ebooks, like that first example. Now, the really big reason why we push courses and coaching so much is because we help people to make courses and coaching. But no, realistically, the reason why we push this so much is because courses and coaching is the future of learning. This is how people are starting to learn. People are starting to forego traditional schooling and traditional, like high level schooling to be able to basically just learn the skills that they want for the job that they want, or to be able to accomplish the thing that they want to do, so they can make money and not have to get into a bunch of debt to be able to go to school for it. Like, yeah, I get it. You're not going to buy an online course for doing open heart surgery, but you can buy an online course to learn how to be an architect, or you can buy an online course so you can learn how to do sales, or you can get a coaching program and you can join a mentorship to learn how to close high ticket offers or high ticket deals or something like that. And so if you have more questions about this, like, I'm more than happy to answer them. You can throw them down below, or you can check out the link in the description for a free training all about about how to start, doing online coaching and how to start doing online courses, because that's what my wife and I do. And we've hit 6-figure months using this business method and this digital product idea. And so as you can imagine, we're kind of partial to it. And so the third digital product idea that I have for you guys here is actually a pretty good alternative to courses or coaching, and that is a membership site. Now, a membership site is still an informational product, which means you are still teaching somebody something with whatever it is that they're buying. It's not like they're just sitting there and buying something random that's on the internet, like a cup or a mug or something like that. It is something that they are learning with. It's an informational product. But the difference is that membership sites are usually lower in cost because there's something that somebody pays for every single month for as long as they're in the program. And so usually this cost is something that's like 30 to 40 bucks, or you can even get up to like into the hundreds of dollars a month in order to be in this membership. And inside of a membership, basically what they're doing is they're being helped, or they're going through some type of a program, or they're being coached on things that they really want over long periods of time, so they can accomplish whatever it is in like 6 to 12 months or something like that. And so because it is a lower cost, your success and the amount of money that you can make is a little bit dependent on your audience size or your ability to bump up that cost for whatever it is that you're teaching. So if you're doing a membership site around knitting and you charge $9 a month to be in the knitting membership, you're probably going to need a lot of people to make your $1,000 or $10,000 or $50,000 a month that you want to make. You're going to need a large audience for that. But if you're doing a membership site and it's $150 or $200 a month because you're teaching people specific business strategies on how to be able to sell CEOs on your product or on your business or on your service, that's a little bit different. And now, so the downside to running a membership is that you have to be constantly involved. You have to be constantly working on it. In the membership, there's always going to be people that are looking for things. You have to be adding to it. You have to be creating content. You have to be engaging with your members. You have to be in there every single month and doing things. Whereas with something like courses, a course, you could be totally passive. You could be totally hands off. And so that's just something to keep in mind when you're going through and you're looking at potentially doing a membership site for your digital product idea. So let's say that you don't want to do some type of informational product. That's okay. For our fourth idea here on digital products, I want to be able to talk about printables or digital art. If we're speaking specifically, strictly digital products, then it would be something that the end user prints on their own, and what you're providing to them is a digital file. Now, this digital file can really be anything. It can be art, like I mentioned earlier, or it can be some type of a worksheet, or it could be some type of a template. It could be some type of a, just something that they end up printing on their own that they pay either like a couple bucks for, or even up into the tens of hundreds of dollars in order to be able to print whatever it is that you give them access to print to. Now, the awesome thing about printables is that it's pretty low overhead. You are just providing them a digital file, which doesn't take any time to send them, which doesn't take like any kind of money, except for like very low cost in terms of hosting. If you do happen to have a lot of people that come to your file, you might need to pay for hosting for your file. But other than that, it's really just the time involved that you need to be able to make your printable. And for some people, it's not just art. For some people, it is just like a calendar, or it is a list, or it is a checklist, or something that is very easy to be able to make and reproduce in something like Canva or Photoshop or Illustrator. And so the downside again is that because it is so low cost, you will need a lot of people in order to be able to buy it. Again, it's just numbers, people. Take how much ever it is that it costs, and then whatever your end result is, and then do a little bit of algebra, which isn't really even algebra, to find that magic number of people that you need to be able to buy it every single month. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little tiny secret here. Now, we've spent a lot of money, nearly $80,000 in mentors and coaches and mentorships and courses and stuff like that. We spent $80,000 in education in this industry alone. We've also had a ton of students go through our course, YouTubepreneur, which is all about helping people to learn about how to grow on YouTube. And we've also had a lot of people go through our coaching and course business as well. And so with all this data that we've gathered, with those types of, or with the types of products where it's people are looking at a sales page and they click a button to be able to buy, it's like a 2 to 3% conversion rate, in order for people to go through and buy that. And it's going to be even lower when it's something that's just like a printable. It's going to be a pretty low conversion rate when you have just strangers that are coming through. So think about it. If you want to make a ton of money, let's say you want to make $1,000 and you're selling something for, let's just say $1, then you need 1,000 people to be able to buy that. But the problem is that when you need 1,000 people to buy it, not everyone that views your product is going to buy it. And if it's a 3% conversion rate and you need 1,000 people to buy something at your $1, that is 33,333, well, we'll say 34 people to round up on the 0.3 person number that's in there. But the idea is that you need a lot of people. And so let's say that you don't want to do printables. You want to sell something that costs just a little bit more money, but you still don't want to do an information product, but you want to be helpful to somebody. You want to be able to provide somebody a service. Then something that a lot of people are doing today and nowadays, because there's like this huge rise in influencers, a lot of people now are creating presets. And now presets and sometimes LUTs, which is kind of just like a preset for video, basically what they do is they are something that people can apply to their photo or to their video to make it look a certain style or to make it look a certain way without them having to go through and figure out all the sliders and settings themselves. They basically take a shortcut, they click a button, and it's done. Basically, you just pay access for that preset or for that LUT. And so the downside to this is that it can be kind of time consuming to make if you wanted to be really good at it. Yeah, you could slap a preset together and just kind of see what happens. But the ones that are really good, the people who provide really good presets, one, they look really good, obviously. But two, they provide instructions. They say, here's the examples. Here's what kind of photos it works on. Here's what kind of photos it doesn't work on. And if this happens, then slide the thing this way. And if this happens, then slide the thing this way. And then you can go ahead and correct it and you can work with it yourself. Or they have multiple presets. And so it can be time consuming, and you do have to be really good at photography, or at least have really good pictures or have edited really good pictures so that people believe you enough to be able to buy your preset. Now, the upside to this is that people really love presets, okay? Even people who aren't trying to be influencers. Like, we have friends who just want their photos to look good of themselves, and so they buy presets, and they're not even influencers. Like, there's not even a return on their investment on that. They just want it to look good. So tons of people want presets. Tons of people are very familiar with them. And so because it solves such a common problem, being able to sell it to people isn't going to be as difficult. Again, all you need is you just need to have a good preset. But again, as I've said, and this is going to be a common theme across really a lot of my videos, it's going to be, do you have access to the market or the amount of people that you need in order to be able to hit your monthly income goal? Because if you don't, you need to raise your prices or you need to find a different type of digital product. All right, so let's move on to our next digital product. So this digital product is something that applies more so to like influencers or to content creators or to somebody that's creating some type of content, and that's visual templates. And so visual templates are things that are online that are like the banner on your YouTube channel, or that are thumbnails for your YouTube videos, or that could even be like your Facebook banner, or it could be your end screen template. Basically, making things that are digital that people use on their content, but creating templates for them so they don't have to spend a bunch of time making everything and making the layout look really good. And so these visual templates basically solve a very common problem, which is that not a lot of people are as creative or as handy with some type of a digital editing or like some type of creation tool. And also they may not have actually all the time in the world to go through and make these things. So what they want is just a really good end screen, or they want a really good template for their thumbnails or for their banner or whatever it is, and they just want to be able to change the colors, maybe add a picture and change the font a little bit, and then they have something that looks fully custom and is done really well. So what's awesome about this and about being able to provide these types of templates is that it's not really niche dependent. You know, you don't have to be talking to just moms, or you don't have to be talking to just athletes. The templates can kind of be applied to whoever it is that you want to, and it just depends on you on how or who it is that you want to be able to target, or you know, how specific you want to be with your template. And so that means that your total addressable market is pretty wide. It's really just anybody that wants to sit there that needs to cut down on time, you know, in creating, and instead of taking the time to create these visual assets, they're just already made for them. Now, this is generally like a pretty low overhead, low cost digital product that you can sell unless you're doing custom ones for people every single time, in which that case it's becoming more of like a service and you'd have to charge a little bit more, and it's going to take a little bit more of your time to do. But generally you have like 5 or 10 templates that you make and that you've gone through and that you made, and they just kind of sell, and you just have to market them. And all you have to do is, again, ta-da, you have to be able to find as many people as you want in order to be able to hit the number that you want at the price that you sell it at. And usually these templates, they don't cost too much. And so again, think about how you're going to be getting a large flow of traffic, or think about selling something that you can charge a little bit more for, like courses or coaching. And then that way you don't have to sit there and worry about the amount of people that find your product. So the next digital product idea that I have here, let's stick with templates, but let's move into content templates. Now, content templates are things like, landing page content, or your social media post content, or your About Us or your website content. Basically, what they're looking for is people are looking to be able to cut down on the time of writing something, and they just want to be able to change a few words, or they want to be able to know where certain things should go on a page so that it looks good, and they want to cut out that time, so they buy a template to be able to help jumpstart that process. And so it might not also be that people don't have the time, but they might also just not have the budget to hire a professional copywriter. So what they need some type of a template to get them started. Say for instance, like they need a copywriter for their email newsletter, because email is huge. Surprisingly, still, email is still one of the highest converting traffic sources that there is. And so if you want to be really good at email, you need somebody to either teach you how to do email, to do your emails for you, or to provide you with a template to be able to go off of. And so a template is kind of the lower tier, lower budget option that people can work with, and that really applies to any type of content that they're writing on the internet, whether again it's email or landing pages or whatever. It's kind of like the lower end budget or the lower end option that's there, but it is something that is still effective, and it is something that people pay for if you have really good copywriting skills. And so, like, I guess just to be a little bit more specific, it's things like the template in terms of how it looks or where it goes, or the headlines and subheadlines and taglines and intros and closers and body paragraphs and transitions and things like that. I mean, you can even buy things like scripts for videos, or layouts for, like I said, landing pages or sales pages. So there's a lot that you can do within the content template realm, and a lot of things that you can provide. But again, as with a lot of these digital product ideas, it depends on how much you're able to sell them for, and then how many people that you can to be able to find them. All right, let's move on to our 8th idea here, which is stock photos. This one is pretty basic, and a lot of people already get this, but basically, you can't use whatever picture you want that you find on the internet, especially if you're using it for something that's for your business, because people own the rights to those photos, and people have the right to be able to charge for those photos if they want to. And if you're caught using a photo without actually paying for it, or you're not attributing it in the correct manner, you can get into some trouble for that. And so what people do is they actually sell the photos that they take as stock photos. And so what a stock photo is it's basically like a not as specific photo that can be used in kind of specific situations, whether people are putting them like in presentations, or they're putting them in YouTube videos, or they're using them on their websites. And it's just like a huge bank of photos that people can go to, and so that they can purchase them to make sure that they have the rights, or basically they're purchasing the rights to be able to use those photos. And so stock photos have been around for quite some time. They've been around actually for a while. Now there's like stock videos and other stock things that people can use, other stock assets. But stock photos tend to be some of the easiest because, some people are just born photographers. They love doing photography. It's kind of a hobby of theirs. And it's just something that you can kind of do, which is just kind of just to build up this bank of photos that you want to go ahead and be able to sell. And so the only problem with stock photos is, of course, you need to take the pictures. So you need to get the camera, you need to go to the places, you need to travel, and you need to do all this stuff. Or you can take stock photos of, like, a lot of people do like desk layouts or flat lays or stuff like that. And so there's a lot of different ways to be able to do stock photos, but at the end of the day, like, you need to sell a lot of them, or you need to sell like a membership to them in order for that to happen. And kind of like a better business idea. And if you were to go check out my other video on, 6 different online business ideas that you can do, it might even be a better idea to create a site, or to create something that kind of serves as the service to provide the stock photos for. All right, now let's move on to our 9th idea here, which is exclusive content. Now, exclusive content is basically when people pay for access to more of you, or to access more of whatever it is that you're creating. And so if you make really good content, or if a lot of people really like you and they really like your stuff, or if you have something that's really specific to teach and something that they really want to be able to learn about, you can actually kind of create like a pay gate or a paywall that they can pay, or people to be able to get access to it, to be able to get through it, so that they can access that new content, whether it's like it comes out early, or it's bloopers, or it's something that they haven't seen, or if it is something that's more educational, it could be like the next step, or it could be the higher level, or it could be the more in-depth training on whatever it is that you're doing. And so if you're an influencer, or if you're somebody that has an audience, it's pretty easy to do this. It's actually a pretty common thing nowadays that people are like, hey, kind of you could pay to be able to see my extra content or my exclusive videos, and you can get access to those kinds of things. But if you're not an influencer, you either A, need to become an influencer, or B, you need to teach somebody something in terms of the content that you're creating, or you have things like, locked articles, kind of like how some newspaper sites or news sites kind of do that, where you get 3 free reads a month or something like that. I'm not saying do that, because that's kind of, I'm not really a huge fan of that one, to be honest. But if you do have content that a lot of people do like, and you do have, raging fans or raving fans that are there, then it is an idea for you to be able to work with. All right, so let's move into our 10th digital product idea, which is selling digital ad space. Now look, I know that this sounds kind of weird, but think of it as like billboards, but on the internet. And basically, like, as cars drive by billboards, basically a company is paying for that space for the cars to see the billboard and for them to see that advertising. And it's kind of the same thing when you have a website. So when you have a website, traffic comes through it, and that's where the idea of traffic comes from. You have traffic that comes through it, and they see those billboards, those digital billboards, and basically those ad spaces on your website. It's very common for blogs or for websites to be able to sell the real estate on their website, especially when the website is highly trafficked. And so if you can get a website with a lot of traffic, or really a couple of websites, and that's really the hard part, is to be able to get a lot of traffic that's going there. If you can get a couple of them put together, I've heard of people making like 10 to 15K a month on just owning sites and sitting on the sites alone. And so what some people do, and you didn't hear this from me, but what some people do is that they actually sit there and they look for expired domains, or they look for websites that are actually going up for sale that have a lot of traffic, and they buy those sites just so that they can get the real estate so that they can advertise on them. And so the like selling portion of this, or like, the actual money making portion of owning these sites, basically happens in one of two ways. You either join some type of network, which is like the Google Ads network. So they basically, like, Google dictates and puts ads onto your site, and you're paid per visit, or you're paid in some way. And so the other way is to actually broker the deal yourself, so that you can find a company that's willing to be able to pay for that ad space on your site and keep it up there permanently, or for a specific period of time that you guys agree upon. And so when it comes to pricing here, it really comes down to demand and how many people you can get to be able to view your site. So if you're in an industry or in some type of niche where there's not a lot of blogs or not a lot of websites that are out there about whatever that niche is, and there's companies that want to advertise in on it, then the demand is really high, but the supply is really low, so you can charge more for it. But if it's the other way around, you might be kind of making pennies on the visit. All right, so my 11th digital product that's here is kind of a doozy, and it's a little bit bigger, and that's to be able to create an app, or to be able to do SaaS, which is software as a service. And so I get it. These aren't like quick and get rich, schemes and quick and dirty kind of things that are here to be able to sell, but I need to be able to provide the other end of the spectrum besides ebooks. Okay. So with an app or with SaaS, basically what you're doing is you're finding some type of a need in a market, you're creating an app for it, and you're paying somebody to create an app, or if you somehow know how to program or code, then you can actually go ahead and do that yourself, but you're creating an app or creating some type of software that people pay for access to. Or at the end of the day, the real goal is to be able to sell that business off as a whole. So positives to that is you can make a ton of money doing that. People sell SaaS companies for like millions of dollars to people like Facebook or to other things, or they have apps where they make a ton of money on 99-cent downloads or microtransactions. And so it's honestly huge, and it's one of the better digital products that's out there. But the problem is that you got to be really good at it. You have to be really good at making apps, or you have to be really good at doing a software as a service. You have to do a ton of target market research to be able to figure out exactly what it is that you should be creating, unless you're making something that's like the next, the next little game, like, whatever people like mobile game is really popping right now, which is a ton of them, which I don't even know. I'm afraid to say in case there's some kind of copyright claim on them. But basically, doing an app or doing software as a service is a very lucrative digital product idea, but it is a literal like year's worth of product idea that you're going to be working on. And so my last digital product idea here is kind of a cop out. It's kind of not really a digital product, but basically if you wanted to make some money on the side, you could always put up a Patreon, or you could put like a, tip me or tip jar or buy me a coffee kind of link or something like that, and just hope that people basically give you donations. And, it is something that works. People do it. It's not really the best way, in my opinion, to be able to make some money. But if you do have a presence and you do have a really good following and people really like you, and you're doing something that's like worth it to them, you know, obviously people can donate. A lot of people have expendable income and they're able to make donations like that. And it's awesome. It's awesome to be able to help creators to do that. But to be honest, I would never rely on that alone to be my sole, you know, income stream. You want to be able to mix and match with a lot of different digital products that were here. So if you have a favorite digital product that I talked about, let me know in the comments below, or if you have one that I didn't talk about, really put that in the comments below so other people can see it. And so hopefully you were able to get some value out of those 12 ideas that I threw out there. I know there's a lot of videos that are out here about digital product ideas, so I want to be able to talk to you guys about them and see, you know, what can I provide that will make things different to be able to take your business or to be able to take whatever it is that you're doing to the next step. So as usual, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment and do all those things that people on YouTube usually ask for. And if there's anything else that you're looking for in terms of online courses or online coaching, be sure to check out again the link in the description for the masterclass that we have on there, the free training. Totally promise you it's 100% worth it. And if it seems something like something that you want to be able to do, then you can always book a call with us to be able to talk about it. So wherever you guys are, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys next time.